All right, good morning. As we get started, make sure you have your Bible, something to write with, something to write on. If you need a pause, come back, hit play, we'll be ready to go. As we begin, we've been talking about the Ten Commandments the past 2 weeks, and we've covered the 4 that deal with our horizontal relationship with God. Today we start talking about our vertical relationship with God. Today we start talking about our horizontal relationships with others. And today the first one that he gives is to honor your parents. So what is your favorite memory with one of your parents? What's your favorite memory with one of the parents? The illustration Tony Evans gives here is that whenever he would leave on the weekends and go out on the weekends, that his dad would always look at him and say, remember whose name you represent. Don't bring dishonor to our name in our community, in our area, because of your actions. You know, my dad's favorite line was when I would go out, he said, remember, son, if you get in trouble and you get arrested, I don't have bail money for you. I'm like, thanks for the encouragement, Dad. Appreciate it, right? But things that parents say, it was his way of saying, don't bring dishonor to our name. Don't bring dishonor to our family by how your actions are. You represent us when you go out there. And as a parent, I realize that more and more. Is that one, I bring honor or dishonor to my parents' name still. But also I'm trying to teach my kids to bring honor to our name as well among the community. So as we dive in, as we get started, the point of our lesson is to honor for parents is seen in our words and in our actions. We can say we honor our parents all day long, but if we don't live up to it in our actions, then we're just being a hypocrite. So remember, God gave his law to the Israelites. They've come out of Egypt, and God gives his laws to give them instructions to the people of Israel to say, this is how you're going to live as my people, as my covenant people. This is how you're going to live. And this is how you live in this relationship between me and you. And this is how you live with others around you and other countries around you. So they will see that I am their God and that I am your God, and they're going to want to come and be a part of this nation because of who I am. God's plan was to set up this nation to live according to his will, to live according to his ways. And the other nations would see it and want to be a part of that. And Israel was supposed to be encouraging people, well, you need to come and you need to live according to God. Remember what he did to the Egyptians and all the plagues that he did, how he delivered us and we crossed the Red Sea. Don't you want to be a part of that? We see that in Rahab when she comes out of Jericho. But what happens is the nation of Israel doesn't do that. They come and say, we're God's chosen people, and you're not. And they exclude people instead of bringing people in as they were supposed to. So this is God setting up his covenant. Say, this is how we act, how you act toward me, but also how you act to others. And people are going to want to be a part of that. So God makes it unequivocally clear that honor and respect are critical elements in every home. God is serious about honoring parents because God understands the whole picture. He knows it's not simply about having a good day or a peaceful home. Honor is tied to advancing his kingdom on earth. All right, so as we jump in, as we dive in, we're going to cover Exodus chapter 20, and then we're going to jump over to 2 Samuel, talk about King David and his son Absalom. Okay, so Exodus 20, verse 12 reads, honor your father and your mother so that you may have a long life in the land that the Lord your God is giving you. So we are to honor the parents God has placed in your life. Okay, we're to honor the parents. So what is honor? The Greek word for honor means to value highly or to hold in highest regard. This, by the way, is true at any age. You don't stop honoring your parents just because you're older or you don't live under their roof. We honor our parents because they're our parents for eternity. So we honor our parents, period. Okay? And some people disagree with that once you're out of the house, you can live however you want. But I say you honor your parents because they will always be your parents. Children never reach an age when they don't owe their parents honor. So how do we show honor? How do you show honor toward your parents? How did you show honor to your parents? All right, let me give 3 suggestions here in the lesson. First is emotional honor. We honor our parents emotionally by spending time with them and showing them genuine concern and love. Do you spend time with your parents and show genuine concern and love? Maybe you reflect back, if your parents are gone, you reflect back and say, did I do that? This isn't a time for guilt. This is a time to see where you did. Okay? Because maybe it's a thing of, you can say, I can still show honor to others around me. Maybe if they're a generation older than me, I can still show emotional honor toward them. Okay? But also, what about verbal honor? Whether a parent is right or wrong, we still speak to about our parents with respect. Okay? So we do verbal honor. Even if we know they're wrong. Even if we know they're wrong and they're not handling a situation the right way, we are still supposed to show them honor. It didn't say show honor except when your parents are being ridiculous. It says show honor to your parents. So there's a way we can show honor. Even if we disagree with them, we can handle it the right and appropriate way. Okay? So emotional honor, verbal honor, but also financial honor. And we honor our parents means we have financial responsibility for them when they can no longer take care of themselves. It means seeing to their well-being when they need our assistance. Now, we have grown accustomed in our country, in our society, that when you get older, you can go to a nursing home, the government can take care of you, there's things to do. That does not relieve us of the burden of honoring our parents. In Hebrew culture, when your parents got old and they couldn't work, there was no retirement. But when they got old enough and they couldn't work, it was the responsibility of the children to take care of their parents. The parents would move in the house with them and they would take care of all their needs. That was the responsibility of the firstborn. Just as when Jesus was dying on the cross and he says, John, this is your mother. Mother, this is now your son. He was fulfilling his responsibility of honoring his mother to making sure she was taken care of when he was gone. Because at that time, his brothers and sisters didn't believe in him. So he couldn't trust them in that. He had to trust his disciple in that. And says, look, John, take care of my mom because I'm going away. So we see that he takes care of that. He's honoring his mom in that. So it's our job. Now, I'm not saying don't put your parents in a nursing home if that's what's best for them. But I'm also saying don't neglect your responsibility to your parents because you see an easy way out. I see people that take care of their elderly parents on a regular basis, whether that means they visit them in the nursing facility or their retirement center, or they're taking care of their needs. They're making sure their bills get paid. They're making sure their medicines are taken care of. And when you see that on a regular basis, that's honoring your parents. Doesn't mean they have to move in the house with you, but it does mean that you're honoring them to make sure they get the best care possible. Just as they, as your parent, wanted what was best for you as a kid, you're giving them what's best for them in their old age or in their as they're getting older. Okay, and that is what it means to us about how we honor people. When we talk about honoring people and it shows the moral stance of our society is how do you treat the elderly, but also how do you treat the innocent young ones too? And when we see that we take care of both ends of that, that shows moral character in our society. And when we don't, we see a decline in our moral character in our society as well. So are you showing honor to your parents? Did you show honor to your parents? Are you showing honor to the elderly in our society? Now, let's jump real quick as we move over to 2 Samuel chapter 15, verse 7. Here's what I would call a negative illustration of not honoring your parents. So when we write about this, we talk about how to honor your parents, but this shows complete disrespect and how to dishonor your parents with David and Absalom. So in verse 7 through 12, reads, when 4 years had passed, Absalom said to the king, please let me go to Hebron to fulfill a vow I made to the Lord. For your servant made a vow when I lived in Geshur of Aram, saying, if the Lord really brings me back to Jerusalem, I will worship the Lord in Hebron. Go in peace, the king said to him. So David says, go in peace. So he went to Hebron. Then Absalom sent agents throughout the tribes of Israel with this message. When you hear the sound of the ram's horn, you are to say, Absalom has become king in Hebron. So then verse 11, 200 men from Jerusalem went to Absalom. They had been invited and were going innocently, for they did not know the whole situation. While he was offering the sacrifices, Absalom went for David's advisors. Ahithophel, the Gilonite, from his city of Gilo. So the conspiracy grew strong, and the people supporting Absalom continued to increase. So that's what we see here as we dive into this, is that all of a sudden this conspiracy that Absalom has declared himself king. Now, we got to remember that back then, they didn't have internet. They didn't have news coming out as fast as it was happening. So word of mouth is what happened. So when they hear Absalom's king, well, the nation just assumes something happened to David. And they automatically, Absalom's next in line. So he should be king. So this conspiracy starts, even though the people don't know everything that's going on. But what we see in this context is that honor acts with truthfulness and integrity toward parents. When we honor our parents, we should show truthfulness and integrity. So here we find that Absalom's serving and telling us what not to do to honor parents. And we see in this passage, Absalom dishonored his father with a lie. And he pulled God in the middle of it. And he said, hey, he just didn't go up to David and say, hey, look, I'm going to go over to Hebron. I'm going to declare myself king, make some sacrifices to God, and you're out, old man. That's not what he did. Which it still would have been tragic. But he lied to him and said, I'm going to go worship God. In the midst of making this sacrifice, this ritual, declare myself king, and then all my people that I've conspired with will go out and declare me as king as we move forward. And so just by how he did it, showed complete and utter disrespect toward his father. Basically, he declared his father is dead to him because he is now king. So, David, you're no longer my father, is what he just said. The true intent was to be in a safe place where he could spread his false message that he had become king. All right? So how does truthfulness and integrity honor parents? How does truthfulness and integrity honor parents? I just know in me growing up, but also in my kids growing up, it's a deal of, if you tell us the truth, the consequences are so much less. Even if you did something wrong, just telling us the truth, and you may get punished, but it won't be for nearly as bad as what it was if we find out you lied about. Right? That only complicates it and makes it worse. Sin compounds sin. It doesn't make it better. It covers up. When it comes to lie, it's so much worse. So just show truthfulness. Even when you make mistakes, show truthfulness. Show integrity. This was my actions. I was wrong, and I will suffer the consequences for it. Just show integrity toward your parents when you do something wrong. When you're not doing something right, it's always better, and it shows an act of honor of, even though I messed up, your parents expect you to mess up. Even though you mess up, you can still honor them by telling the truth and having integrity about it. So next section, 2 Samuel 15, verse 13 through 14. Then an informer came to David and reported, the hearts of the men of Israel are with Absalom. David said to all his servants with him in Jerusalem, get up, we have to flee, or we will not escape from Absalom. Leave quickly, or he will overtake us quickly, heap disaster on us, and strike the city with the edge of the sword. So see, honor seeks the welfare of parents. Absalom was seeking the destruction of his parents. And so David knew that if he stayed and Absalom came in to overtake, Absalom would have killed him to be king. And defeat in this culture means death. The only way that you become king is if the former king is dead. Not in prison, not exiled, is dead. And Absalom's coming to kill his father, David, completely showing disrespect, completely not giving welfare for his parents, completely showing utter contempt for them. So David knew the depth of Absalom's dishonesty, and ultimately Absalom dishonoring actions brought great adversity upon the nation of Israel and death to himself. Down the road, when we look at Absalom, his treason, his treachery, him declaring himself king, cost him his life. And what we see is that David, his father, always wanted his son to return to him and didn't want harm to come to his son. And what we see is that David was still his father no matter what. Even though Absalom completely betrayed him and turned his back on him and wanted him dead, David's love for his son was always there, despite what happened. Okay? So what opportunities do you have to show honor to your parents? How can you show honor to your parents? And if your parents aren't with you anymore, maybe it's how can you honor them in a memory? What are some memories that you can think of just fun times where you honored your family, you honored your parents in the midst of that? But also maybe we need to honor an older generation in our church. And our parents aren't with us anymore, but maybe what we can do, our parents live far away, we'll show honor to them, but maybe we show honor to the older generation in our church. And how are ways that we can show honor to them? And what are some ways that we as a church can show honor to them? But as we wrap up, how will you actually seek to honor your parents? Okay, how will we seek to honor your parents? And I will say this, if you need to seek forgiveness for your parents, if there's a broken relationship, the first thing you need to do is go and ask for forgiveness. And to seek it out and say, you know what, I've dishonored you and I need to restore this relationship. Secondly, honor your time with them. If there's a time that you go spend with them, go spend time with them. Just take time out of your day, out of your week, and go spend some time with your parents to show honor to them. And then lastly, maybe it's just give honor to them. Maybe there's something you can gift them or write them a note, write them a letter to say, I was thinking about you. And I want to say, thanks for being my parents. And we don't have to wait for Mother's Day or Father's Day to do that. We can do it now. And just say, I want to show honor to you. Even if you have to use this lesson as an excuse. We were talking about honoring our parents, and I just want to encourage you and remind you that I want to honor you. And let me take you out to dinner. Let me get you something. Let me give you this treat because I know you like it. Right? Maybe I just want to spend some time with you. So how can you honor your parents today? How can you honor maybe someone even an older generation than you, someone that's mentored you? How can you show honor to them this week? All right, thanks for joining us. As we get back, we'll continue diving into the Ten Commandments next week. God bless, and let me close this out in prayer. Dear God, we thank you for today. Allow us to continue to show honor to those people in our life, for our parents, Father, for the older generation in our congregation. I pray and ask that we seek honoring them with our actions and our words and our deeds, Father. And I pray and ask that you allow us the opportunity just to restore relationships if we need to. But let us always seek honor when it comes to people. The first thing that you give us after talking about your commandments of how we relate to you is how we relate to our family, how we relate to our parents. You give a promise with that your days may live long. And I pray and ask that we honor our parents, Father, each and every day. In your name we pray and ask. Amen. All right, God bless. Catch you next week.